Hi, ladies. Welcome back to Neuro Natters. Got your tea ready?
Grazie.
Excellent. So this week we were going to discuss neurodivergency and what it means, and I think we've got a brilliant spectrum of knowledge and expertise amongst us. And we're not going to give the polished version stuff. We're going to give our kind of values and beliefs and our experiences based on the kind of what we've seen in the industry, really, because we're three really experienced and professional practitioners. So, Jeanette, let's start with you. What's your kind of background in neurodivergence? What does it mean to you?
Well, if we're talking, for example, about autism, because I think that's one of the big ones, isn't it? Autism, ADHD, and then, of course, the dyslexia and what have you. But I think with my background, I've quite a big background in autism. One thing that I have learned, and everybody says this, you've met one person with autism, you've met one person with autism, because everybody's autism is different. And I think that's really important to understand. Even if you've got a diagnosis yourself of autism, your that will be unique to you. So when you hear people talking about autism, try not to get that picture because not everybody has social communication problems. A lot of people do, of course. Some people have repetitive behaviors, but not everybody does. Lots of people have sensory difficulties and find it difficult to work in noisy environments or bright flashing lights and have difficulty maintaining relationships. But it really is unique to you. So whether you're a toddler learning how to socialize, and suddenly, you might realize as a parent, child's gone back to solitary play, child's gone back to repetitive behaviors instead of playing together, something going wrong, food's different, suddenly we're a very picky eater, and beige food is what we say, isn't it, quite often? Lots of beige eaters. And then we're sort of, textures are a little bit tricky and cut that label out. And then, I can't use, I can only wear those certain clothes. And you do find that when children and adults are anxious, they'll want to wear the really comfortable clothes or clothes every day without washing them because it makes them feel safe and familiar with the smells and comfort.
Yeah.
So lots of different things for lots of different people. And then we might move on to, are they a bit clumsy or can they sleep well? And well, have they got dyspraxia then? And you've got this big over spill of different things going on with the proprioception, where the limbs in the air are not just understanding where they are, the vestibular, where we feel a little bit,
Wobbly.
always sensory seeking to feel that, and so no sensory avoidance activities. So there's lots and lots of stuff going on with autism. And I think for me, it's to get across to people that you're not strange, you're not odd, it's just different. And many people with a neurodiverse brain will find their own tribe or clan or birds of a feather flock together, whatever it is, you will find those people and you will play to your strengths.
Yeah.
You've got so many people who work as analysts or blue light professions because they're the people who join the dots where nobody else sees them. They're the people with the tenacity to carry on and ask questions and don't give up. Who everybody else, they're quite annoying to everybody else, but they will get there and they will find answers where other people don't. So autism absolutely fascinates me, as you can tell. I'm going to shut up now, Helen.
I just wanted
I
to chip in
promise.
on that just really quickly, which is about that autism and that label that within the NHS, we don't necessarily give those levels anymore. We're not going your level one, level two, level three. It's just not helpful. Like you've said, you can be level one day one. Today, this afternoon, you may have a sensory input that whacks that up to level three. So us putting you somewhere which isn't a fair representation of the struggles that you're facing just doesn't seem to fit anymore. And we
Yeah,
don't use the term high functioning or low functioning anymore. You're on the spectrum, and that's kind of where we sit. And it's understanding the fact that it is that line with different strengths and weaknesses through it.
Yeah, and I think you're right there. And what works for you one day
Isn't going to another.
might not work the next day. And I think that's the hardest thing for a parent. You know, they think they've just cracked it and then it doesn't
It's
work
wrong.
anymore. It
Meaning it is
absolutely.
truly personal centered, but it's still for that person, truly personal centered for them as well.
And
And
Yeah.
that's why
Helen,
we're doing this, because we want people to understand it's your strengths and your weaknesses. We're all very different. It'd be really boring if we're all the same. And it's about embracing your strengths, seeing the different things or whatever you can connect, and scaffolding your weaknesses. So if you can, there's apps out there or time, whatever it is you need, then that's what you use. And I think it's really important that we embrace it and spread the word. What does it mean? What does it mean to be neurodiverse? Because so many people ask me, go, what's autism? Oh my God, they freak out if you mention the word. Maybe your child might be,
Mhm. Do
because
you find that, Helen? Do you find that dyslexia is more palatable
yeah,
than autism? So we get a lot of people coming for dyslexia assessments, don't we?
we do, which are clearly struggling with their autism, and it's displaying in their reading and their writing.
and what about dyslexia then, Helen? What does that mean under this umbrella of neurodivergency?
And for me, I truly believe that is this link to other things. To be honest, I don't think I've ever really met a truly dyslexic person. And the reason why I had it asked yesterday, the person I was assessing had done lots of training, lots of different people. He said, but nobody's dyslexia is the same. And I said, well, that's because depending on your neurodiversity traits, whether you've got ADHD or whether you've got some autism, depending on your mixture, depends on how you display. So you might have struggles with reading or writing, spelling. Doesn't mean you have all of those things. You might have some of those things. And it all depends really on how much traits of one thing you have compared to another. And I think that's really important, because you can't, there isn't one cure for anyone. There's not one rule which fits all. There's like this spectrum of how it affects people.
We find that, don't we, Helen? Like those with the autistic profile, they're really quite proficient readers, and they come across as really good mechanical readers, but they haven't got that deeper level of processing going on that you need for inference and deduction. So it can quite easily go missed in the classroom, especially if you've got those children who are really compliant, who are really desperate to fit in, who are keeping it all inside and then explode when they get home.
Talking
Um,
about that female profile, that younger female wanting to fit in, not wanting to be judged, trying their best, and then when they go home, they dysregulate because they've been holding it in all day. And
Yeah,
that's why I get,
my children 100% did that. And I would go to the teacher, anything up with them? No, fine.
no,
And then
perfect
Fine at
child.
school,
and then we
nothing
get
wrong
them to get
here.
home or leave, the teacher couldn't see. Whoa, they'd be like, oh my God, what's just happened? Yeah.
Yeah. And really that moves really nicely onto my area because again within mental health I see a lot of that kind of masking and that behavior stuff. And then when we bring it back and we go, well, what's the root cause? And it is that neurodivergent, that it's that I don't want people to think badly of me or be judged, and so therefore I'm going to try and hide and mask. With ADHDers, it can be slightly a bit more tricky because obviously we've got ADHD there as well, sitting under that umbrella, looking at those three core areas of hyperactivity, impulsivity, and inattention. And I think what's important here is we're trying to break that stereotype that it is a hyper naughty boy running around the room because that's the stereotype. I can't have ADHD because I sit there, I don't fidget. But you can have the impulsive type, the inattentive type, and I think it is that understanding, trying to re-educate people about the three domains when we diagnose somebody. We've got the combined, which is yes, you can have all three profiles. You can be hyperactive, impulsive, and inattentive, but you could be predominantly inattentive, which I see quite a lot in that dual diagnosing, especially with females with autism because they're trying to fit in, they're trying their best to create that world.
And
Um,
they're the hard ones for the teachers, because they don't notice those children, because they're sitting there quietly going under the radar. More often than not, some of the teachers don't even know their name, especially in secondary school, because they're just sitting there quiet, zoned out. And
exactly.
the teacher doesn't
So
realize.
what impact does that have on the mental health then, Steve? What are you seeing on the mental health, all that internalism?
So it clearly it causes that emotional dysregulation. It causes that kind of anxiety that people see, that really high level anxiety. it's getting labelled as mood disorders, so kind of mental health impact on kind of depression. And I really dislike labelling it that,
Mm.
but after a while it does. And equally, the power of language is causing self-esteem problems, because if all the message your child is receiving is you're naughty, sit down, be quiet, listen, you're not trying hard enough, you know, these children are receiving negative inputs 80 to 90% more than any other child. And if all you are receiving is negative input, it's going to have an effect on your mental health, isn't it? So,
So do you think there's a misdiagnosis going on with adults of depression when actually they're
oh,
being misdiagnosed?
absolutely, within my experience, and I think that's what I'll say. I've reassessed a lot of adults and removed a lot of labels in my time. And when it does fit, and when we do give that diagnosis, and I'm sure you will have the same experience, it's like a light bulb moment for these people. The light goes on, the noise stops, and they go, "Oh, I get it now. I
Makes
understand
sense.
who I am."
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
And
quite
that's our bells,
amazing.
ladies. So that's the end of our session. So thank you very much for your input on just kind of looking at that really quick umbrella term. We are going to be going into more detail, aren't we, over the podcast? We'll look at each one in a lot more detail and how they kind of unfold as we move forward. So until next time, keep yourself safe, keep drinking, pushing those fluids, and
Nice
we'll
enough.
see you in the next one. Take care.